Hi everyone. In the previous class, we have seen the concept of serialization and deserialization. Means how we are going to serialize the object and how we are going to deserialize the object and how we are going to serialize multiple objects and how we are going to deserialize multiple objects and the usage of transient keyword. Right? Yes. Now in today's class, we'll move with advanced concept called as externalization. Right, which is basically used for the concept of serialization only, but there is a small drawback is there in the serialization concept. So the drawback is, if you are able to observe basically, if my object is going to have three variables a b c abc, if you want to serialize it, I have to compulsory serialize all these three variables. Am I right or not? Right. So if you want to serialize them, I have to compulsory serialize all these three values. Right. A equal to 0, B equal to 0, C equal to 0. If all are going to be a transient. What is the meaning of this one? I don't want to save all the three variable values here. That's why I have used here transient keyword. Right. That is the reason I am going to make A value as 0, B value as 0, C value as 0. But here the thing is, instead of making all the values as transient, assume that I want to make only use a value as 1, which means that transient b comma c and int a equal to 1. If you observe this scenario, right, so here I am going to serialize, so my a value is going to be as it is and b and c are going to be 0, as they are going to be a kind of, so assume that b equal to 1, c equal to 1. You may think that these are going to be a 0 0 because they are going to be a transient. Find this logic, you know. Here the point is, why we need to save the entire object? Why we need to save entire object even we are not in need of using the saving the b and c variables? That is where we got the concept of externalization. Means in serialization, if you want to save part of the object, it is not possible. We have to save the entire object and we have to make use of transient keyword. But in externalization, the advantage is we can save part of the object. So that performance is going to be increased or not? Yes, performance of saving is going to be increases, right? Fine. So is there any use of necessary using of transient keyword then? No. So in externalization, we are not going to use any kind of transient keyword, right? There is no effect of using the transient keyword here. Fine. Which means that here I no need to specify what kind of variables need not to be saved as default values. That's the thing, we can go with the externalization. Here even programmer tries to write something, it is going to save all the values, right? So means here programmer doesn't have any kind of control over the serialization, whereas coming to externalization, programmer having the control what to save in the file or what to send over the network or what to save in the database. This is what the need of externalization, right? Simply if I say the definition, externalization, it is a kind of customized serialization. It is a kind of customized serialization, and we can decide what to store in the database, what to store in the stream. Simply I can say stream means what? It can be a file, or it can be a network, or it can be a database. So externalization is a kind of a serialization which we can decide what to store in the stream. But whereas coming to serialization, we can't decide what to store in the serialization. Instead, it is going to store the entire object. Wherever we are going to use the transient keyword, they are going to place the default values. That's it. Fine. So how we are going to achieve this mechanism? Let me tell with an example so that you can get a clear idea. Let me try to create a class, new class name is something like externalizable example, externalizable example, right? And I want to execute from here, so I need a main method. Okay, fine. So here this class needs to make serializable. For example, I want to have three variables I comma j comma k, guys. I comma j comma k, and out of these three variables I want to save only I and j values. I want to save only I and j values. If you want to save I and j values, basically I can go with the transient keyword for the k, so that it will be work as like as serializable concept. But to work with externalizable means what? I can able to decide what to store in the table, right? I want to store only I and j values. Then what you can do now? You can go with the uh, interface called externalizable interface. Implements externalizable interface. Implements external, guys. In the previous class we have seen the mark interface called serializable, which is a kind of marker interface, right? And we have seen clonable interface, which is a kind of marker interface. Now we are trying to work with the externalizable. Go with the spelling, you can it is not a marker interface, means which is going to have various kind of methods are there, which is going to have various kind of methods are there. Those methods you have to go, right? So that is the reason it is throwing an error here. Try to observe here. If you place a cursor here, it is going to ask for add unimplemented methods. Good. I am trying to override unimplemented methods. So to make it more readable, I am trying to replace here. Control C. Good. Right. So these two methods has to be compulsory override in order to implement the concept of externalizable. And also one more important point, you have to use compulsory constructor, default constructor. So let me write the default constructor. The default constructor. And for example, I want to initialize these values of I and j through the constructor. Then what I can do, int I comma int j. This dot I equal to I, this dot j equal to j. I have initialized things, right? So guys, so here to implement externalizable concept, you have to compulsory write no argument constructor, or you can say default constructor. Compulsory write default constructor, and you have to implement externalizable keyword. Okay, fine. So basically in the main method, you are trying to create an object, right? You are trying to create an object. So externalizable example equal to new externalizable example. Good. And then you are going with some kind of serialization. Then we can go with the deserialization. You can go with the deserialization. While trying to perform serialization, what you have to do? You have to go with the file output stream FOS equal to new file output stream of the file name what you are trying to do. Next, object output stream OS equal to new. So you have to import the respective class from the IO package. New object, guys. You can make it fast forward. So here for while performing serialization and deserialization, because you know it already, of FOS. Then you have to go with the OS dot write object. what you are trying to write E. That's it. Right? So here you have to go with the path where you are trying to save the file slash file1.txt. Right? So you know, while writing it's going to be a kind of checked exception you have to handle, and this is going to have add close declaration IO exception. Done. Similarly, I need to go with the deserialization. While perform deserialization, file input stream FIS equal to new file input stream, from which location you want to read the data, and object input stream you have to import the respective class. OS equal to new object input stream of FIS. Good. Then OS dot read object. Good. Fine. So I will say here sort of file written successfully. Right? So while performing the reading you have to typecast again, so because it is going to return object as written type, and then I need to convert into, I need to cast it to specific thing. Read data equal to, you can go for casting it, and it's going to throw an exception. I have to throw it class not found exception. Good. And then sysout of data is plus read data dot I, and I don't want, I have to separate with comma operator. Read data dot j plus read data dot k. Right? What is the output you are going to expect, guys? Here you are trying to expect the output what you are trying to pass here, right? So here I have constructed two parameters, a parameterized constructor which accept two parameters as input. So here I am going to pass something like 5 comma 6, and it is going to place the default value as k value as 0. K value as 0. Now here you have to understand one thing. This externalized concept is meant for placing the required values in the serialization process. Required values in the present, right? Means whatever the values that you want to store, those values only it is going to be stored. Fine. So if you want to define what values you want to store in the file, for those you need to use write external method, and to read them we are going to use the read external method. Is it okay, guys? So here read external method and write external method, they are meant to for what data you need to make use of in the serialization process and deserialization process. Okay, so here in write external, what did you want to write? I want to write out dot write int of I. Good. Out dot write int of j. Good. So only these two values. Similarly, while performing deserialization, what you are trying to do? I value is in dot read int. Read int, and j equal to in dot read. That's it. Right? These write external and read external are going to be called by again what? Write object and read object parallel. Right? So write object method is going to call write external method internally by the JVM. Read object method is going to call internally read external method called by the JVM. Right? So guys, so if you want to have the more clarity, try to listen the video of customized serialization where you can understood how it is going to be happen. Right? If I am going to execute this one, you are going to get 5 6. Am I right or not? Yes. If you want, you can go with 5 6 7. 5 6 7, and I am trying to go with the int k. This dot k equal to k. Good. Now what is the answer you are expecting? Again, you are going to expect the same answer. Why? Because we are not worried about the other kind of data. We need to worried about only the respective thing. What data we need to serialize? So we need to serialize only I and j. Those things only, right? Means that here it is under the control of programmer. Under a programmer. That's it. Fine. So guys, if you are able to observe the difference between serialization and externalization, one of the important point what you can do. So it is basically meant for a kind of default serialization. Whereas coming to externalization, it is meant for customized serialization. Here everything is going to be taken care by the programmer. Here everything is going to be taken care by the whom? JVM. Right? Means programmer doesn't have any control. Whereas here programmer have the control of it. Right? So if you clearly observe here, is it going to be part of the object or is it going to be full object? Right? So here entire object is going to be saved, whereas coming to here part of the object is going to be saved. Right? If you want, you can go with full also, part of the object or full of the object. Right? As it is saving the entire object, what about the performance? Performance is low. What about here? Performance is going to be improved. Simple, right? So what is the keyword we are going to use here in serialization process? We are using the keyword called serializable keyword, which is a kind of interface and which is also kind of marker interface. Whereas coming to externalizable keyword, we are using externalizable keyword, which is not a marker interface. Instead, it is going to have two methods are there. Two methods are there or not? Yes. And in serialization process, are we going to use any kind of transient keyword? Yes. But whereas coming to here, we are not going to use any kind of transient keyword, and there is no role of using the transient keyword. These are some of the differences that you can observe while working with serialization and deserialization. Hope you understood clearly, guys. Thank you.